If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-team.
In 1983, a new television show would premiere that would be one of the most successful television shows of the 80s. The A-team was about members of a United States Army Special Forces team that was court-martialed for a crime they didn't commit. After escaping from a military prison, they worked as soldiers of fortune, most of the time being hired by a small family that was being harassed by a town villain. The show was co-created by Stephen J. Cannell, who had massive success years before working on such shows as Rockford File, Columbo, Baba Black Sheep, just to name a few. After being fired from ABC, Cannell was hired by NBC. He would pitch the A-team to NBC president Brandon Torgoff, telling him that the show was a combination of The Dirty Dozen, Mission Impossible, and Mad Max, with a little Hill Street Blues on the side. NBC didn't expect the show to be a big hit, but did greenlight the show for the 1983 season. The first regular episode, not counting the 2-hour made-for-television movie that served as the television pilot, received a 26% rating, placing it as the 4th highest-rating television show of the week.
Magnum, ha! Houston, don't make me laugh. Don't be caught with those whips. Play ball with the A-team. Right after the Super Bowl.
Next Sunday.
On NBC.
The episodes, unless it was a two-parter, had no real overarching storyline, other than the characters trying to clear their name, and some of the episodes would end with the military showing up and the A-team escaping just in the nick of time. Due to not having an overall storyline, as the seasons went on, the episodes started to not feel fresh, with the same basic plotline being used over and over again. This formula seemed to hurt the show during its 4th season, when the ratings tanked, causing NBC to retool it for its final 5th season.
John, he was one of the producers of the A-team, and he said, our ratings are slipping. He said, we'd like to bring you in as a new character in the 4th year as his general who's in charge of everything, and we'll pay you this much money, and if the show goes on, then we'll have another couple of years. Well, the show didn't go on. I didn't save the show, and that's how it came about. I just knew the producer.
After ending the 4th season with a huge cliffhanger, the gang found themselves on trial for the crimes that they had been accused of during the Vietnam War. Before being executed by a firing squad, a deal was made with General Stockwell, a CIA agent who would use the A-team for dangerous suicide missions, and they would be granted a pardon when they completed those missions. Stockwell, along with a new cast member Frankie Santana, helped them fake their deaths and escape. This shifted the stories of the A-team into a new direction, with the A-team now being sent overseas and helping the government rather than dealing with local thugs. The shakeup really didn't help the show, as only 13 episodes would air for the 5th season. However, moving the time slots of the show didn't help much, with 10 of the 13 episodes airing on Friday night, a deadly night for any television show in the 80s, with another handful of episodes being scattered throughout the week and the final episode airing on a Sunday night. On its final episode, the team discussed what they would do as free men, and they agreed they would keep fighting for the underdog as they had been doing. The A-team was made up of 4 members, but only one of them was somewhat of a free man and not wanted by the government. And also appearing on the show at times was a news reporter that would change out a few times during the show's run. Also changing out a few times during the season run would be a military police leader who was trying to track down the A-team. The A-team members were John Hamilton Smith, the leader of the A-team. He was a mastermind of disguises and would often use them to check out the person who was trying to hire the team. He would also often be the brains behind the A-team's plans, and when their plan worked out, he would often use his catchphrase, "I love it when a plan comes together." Hannibal was played by George Papard, who had a long acting career before the A-team. According to others on the show, he was hard to work with.
And I said, "Mr. Papard, my name is Dwight Schultz, how are you?" And he says, "Yes, I am George Papard, and I'm not a very nice man." That is, so help me God, that is what he said to me.
And he was bitter at the show's breakout star, Mr. T.
I don't think George ever accepted the fact that T was the star of the show.
Do you think Mr. T really was the big star of the show?
I think he was the draw. I think T was the big draw. There was no question about it. He was very famous, and people wanted to see what Mr. T was going to be doing on television.
It even got so intense that George Papard wouldn't even speak to Mr. T directly.
George would say to me, Dirk, would you tell the man with the gold that next time we do this, I would appreciate it if he could say his line a little sooner. And I go, okay. And one's there, I'm in the middle, one's there. I mean, they're this close. I go, T. George wants to know if next, and T's going, but I would do it. I go, because it was...
It's been reported that George Peppard didn't like working with Amy Allen and even the replacement reporter, Marley Heasley, for the second season, as he felt it was a boys' club.
And he said, have a seat. I said, okay. He said, I just want you to know that we don't want you on the show. He said, we don't want you on the show. He said, none of the guys want you here. He said, the only reason you're here is because the network and the producers want you. For some reason, they think they need a girl.
Sadly, George Peppard passed away in 1994. Dirk Benedict played Arthur Templeton Peck, a.k.a. Face Man, the smooth-talking con-man that was always very lucky with the women. If the team needed something, Face Man could use his charm to get it. Dirk would join the show after the 2-hour movie pilot, replacing actor Tim Duncan. Dirk was just coming off a career bust-out role in Battlestar Galactica. Dwight Schultz played the only member not wanted by the military, H.M. Murdoch, a.k.a. Howling Mad, the team's go-to pilot, who was also mentally unstable. He was not tried with the A-team, but was rather placed in the psychiatric hospital that he would escape from in almost every episode. He also had a pet dog named Billy that only he could see. Rounding out the A-team was Mr. T, as Bosco Albert Baracus, a.k.a. B.A. He is a skilled mechanic and the muscles of the A-team. He is somewhat of a gentle giant. He was easy to set off into anger, but he was also a very nice guy that loved children and never would drink alcohol, saying that he preferred milk. He did have one fear, and that was flying, which would cause the group would often have to drug him without him knowing to get him onto an airplane, and he believed that Murdoch was a crazy fool.
And one thing George said to me, he said, before you do the show, you got to understand that there's a guy named Mr. T. He said, he's crazy. You just have to accept his craziness. He said, I can't stand it. I don't even want to see the guy, but I'm stuck with him.
You know, mainly because he found out that I was making more money than he was.
Oh, really?
That's what it was.
So you were making more money on the show and he found out about it?
At one time, I was the third highest paid guy in NBC.
You're also immune to fear. We can't hook up emotionally to the concept of cerebral damage.
I'm getting tired of this rap, Murdoch.
You're tired of it. How do you think I feel? I have to listen to it all day.
The show would see two news reporters who would often come to work with the A-team, as they would write a story about them. In the first season, that reporter was Amy Amanda Allen, a.k.a. Triple A. For the 1984-85 season, she was replaced with Marla Hershey as the reporter, Tawana Baker. Actress Tina Carrera would come in the final episode of the fourth season and was planned to help out the A-team for season 5. However, she vanished from the show and was never mentioned again. The actress had a contract issue with General Hospital that caused her to have to pull out of the show's 5th season. Eddie Velez joined the show in the 5th season as part of the A-team as Frankie Santana, a.k.a. Dishpan Man. He was a special effects expert. Frankie helped the team escape the firing squad and then was blackmailed by General Stockwell to help the A-team when needed. Throughout the seasons will be different commanders from Fort Bragg coming to track down the A-team. The most familiar of these was probably first season's Colonel Lynch, who was then replaced by Colonel Decker for the second season. Others would come and go. Robert Vaughn would join the show as the boss of the A-team in the final 5th season. He would give them their missions after he helped them fake their death and escape military firing squad.
Tuesday on the A-team. Join him for rockin' and stompin'. By George, can the A-team keep up? Tuesday.
The show would also have guest stars drop by time to time to help out. From Della Reese to Pat Sajak to Rick James to Boy George to even Hulk Hogan. Merchandise for the show was huge, and even Mr. T would get his own merchandise unrelated to the show. There were 2 lines of action figures released. In Brazil, there was a somewhat knockoff looking A-team line made by Gaslead. But for this video, we're going to look at the main action figure line released by Galoob.
They're the A-team. You know they're soldiers of fortune. They're the A-team. Helping people in need. You can pretend that you're Hannibal, Murdoch, or Face, or maybe B.A. Baracus. You know each one is an ace.
The line would release 2 different sets of figures, a 3/4 inch line and a 6-inch action figure line. The taller 6-inch action figure line would come with 9 figures. Unlike the small line, this line would include Amy Allen. The A-team members of the line were B.A. Baracus, Hannibal Smith, the Face Man, Howling Mad Murdoch. There were 4 bad guys in the line: Cobra, Panther, Viper, and Rattler. A Command Play Center was released for the figures. The Combat Attack Gyrocopter would come with a Murdoch figure. A BA Baracus would come along with an off-road attack cycle. The smaller 3 3/4 inch action figure line would come in sets only and not single carded. They would be a good guy set with the same basic A-team members minus Amy Allen, and a bad guy set with the same Snake name action figures. The bad guys could be found in 2 different shirt colors. The vehicles for the small line was a Corvette that came with a Faceman figure, Armed Attack Avenger set that turned the A-team van into some kind of tank, and that would come with a BA Baracus figure. The Compact Headquarters set would come with the main figures and camping supplies. A Murdoch figure would come inside the jet bomber. A Hannibal action figure would come inside the motorized patrol boat. And no A-team toy line would be complete without the A-team van, and this one came with a free BA figure. Galoob would release 2 different Dynamite Blaster cards, one of the A-team van and one of the A-team Corvette. Although both action figure lines were pretty good for the time period, their likeness to the actors we saw on the television screen could have used some work. There was one key thing missing from the 6-inch line, and that was the A-team van. I don't see how Galoob ever thought it was okay to release 6-inch action figure line from the A-team and not have a van for those figures. And there was something else missing from both action figure lines, and that was a set of military action figures. You could have released a military Jeep with a Lynch or maybe Colonel Decker figure that could chase after the A-team. This could have added a little bit more fun to the line for kids. Well, that's a look at the A-team television show and the action figure line. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please thumb up so I know you like my content. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.